Well, good day and welcome to this special Island Stat Sports Talk. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me is the CONCACAF president and first vice president of FIFA, Mr. Victor Montagliani. Mr. Montagliani, first of all, thank you very much for taking this time out. I know you're a very busy man getting ready for the championship or the semifinals tonight in the CONCACAF Nations League semifinals. USA playing Jamaica and then Mexico playing Panama in Dallas this evening. But we're on the eve of Bermuda taking part in the FIFA series over in Saudi Arabia. I mean, tell us a little bit about the fact that we're now seeing the CONCACAF region and the smaller nations actually involved in a lot more football over the last, I would say, the last 4 or 5 years.
Yes, I mean, first of all, thanks for having me on, Earl, and it's great to see you and great to talk to the people of Bermuda and your beautiful country and your beautiful island. In honor of that, I even wore my Bermuda pink shirt, so I
I
I'm
was
on
going to make
theme
note
here.
of
I'm on
that.
theme. I'm on theme. And it's a great kit, by the way, one of the best
Yeah.
kits in our region. Um, yeah, listen, I think the irony is when I visited Bermuda when I first became president, it was in Bermuda that I actually um, kind of let it out. It wasn't the official announcement, but let it out that we were going to have our Nations League, and that we were going to have a football first mentality, football first philosophy, that everything was going to evolve around the pitch. Because with all due respect, Concacaf had suffered from a political first philosophy rather than a football first philosophy. And now, 6 years later, we have reaped the benefits from the biggest countries to the smallest countries and to everything in between, where you've seen players now be attracted to play for their countries or their parents' country or their grandparents' country, or and countries that were never really given an opportunity, and now they have. And Bermuda is actually probably at the top of that list. Where you qualify for a Gold Cup. You've done well in the Nations League. I think you came out of the gate fast, and now you're rebuilding. Your U20s performed well. So and now I think you're really ready for World Cup qualifying. And looking at your group, I think you got a real shot there. And you're preparing well for the next Nations League. So those proliferation of games and giving the opportunities to the players, to the federation, because it's not just about developing players, it's also about developing administrators, it's about developing coaches. So it's a holistic approach to sort of raising the tide. And I think Bermuda and the leadership in Bermuda, starting with Mark, has really taken advantage of that. And I think Bermuda's in a great spot here to go to the next level.
Sure. You talk about especially officials and so forth. We've seen the growth of people that are now certified to do match commissioners and the security, and we see that off the pitch, and we see what the growth is on the pitch. I mean, everybody wants to progress all the way all the time, but that's not that's necessarily the case. It's gradual steps. But in the region, I've taken note of countries in and around Bermuda, same size, same predicaments as years going by, one game, a qualifier here or there, but the volume of opportunities to play more against different opposition has grown in leaps and bounds. Now, let me ask you, I know it would have been an easy sell in the CONCACAF meetings, but fitting it into the FIFA schedule, how does that go about?
Actually, the first few meetings, it wasn't as easy as you think it was because
Uh-huh.
there was still a lot of scar tissue from the previous years. People not understanding. Well, how is this going to affect me? I have to say, Bermuda led the charge in understanding how the new world would look like. And also, from an administration standpoint, you hit the nail on the head. You have one of probably the most senior and leading administrators in our region, David Sabir, and that doesn't hurt. and to have people like David and Mark around the table, it makes my life a lot easier. And so, but as soon as people started really clicking in, they went, okay, this is really going to help us. And but yes, I mean, you have to, at the end of the day, it has to fit in the FIFA calendar, because ultimately that's what we play around. And listen, it wasn't that hard from the bottom end standpoint, because they weren't playing.
Right.
Where it gets complicated is at the top end, because they were playing friendlies, and so we had to convince some of our more mature partners that obviously do well on the international level, and that's where the whole one CONCACAF philosophy came in. That it's 41 countries, yes, 41 realities. Each one has its own reality, as you pointed out, Earl. But the truth is that everybody came in, has bought in and believed in the one CONCACAF philosophy, and now 7 years later, we have a robust programming both on the men's side and on the women's side as well. We just finished our W Gold Cup, and all the way through from U15 all the way to the senior level. So, I think now it's the next evolution of CONCACAF in terms of now these opportunities have to start leading into results for some of the
Yeah.
guys that are starting knocking on the door, right?
Sure. Now, I digress a little bit, especially to this FIFA series. We've seen a number of these series take place. The concept, I mean, I've read a lot about what CONCACAF is attempting to do, but the concept, sitting around the table, discussing opportunities for countries to play outside their region, in a different space, in a different place. What was those conversations like?
I think one of the things, we already had an issue within the Confederation. For instance, most of the Caribbean nations never played really Central American nations, and Central American nations never played Caribbean nations, or the North, which to me was crazy. And so now, because of what we did internally, we now have had so much experience with Caribbean nations having to go to Central America. Vice versa. I mean, you're hosting Honduras in World Cup qualifying, right?
Yes.
What an opportunity, to slay a giant on home soil, and so those are things that never existed before. And so we kind of took that concept, spoke to FIFA, and said, why don't we even expand it further from a global perspective? Because most of our nations, right, wouldn't have experience playing an African nation or an Asian nation. And so now we're doing that, right? And so Bermuda, I believe, plays Guinea,
Yes.
and which will be a great experience. And I don't recall who the second team is going to be.
Yeah.
Brunei.
Brunei. We play Brunei tomorrow.
Brunei,
Yes.
correct.
Brunei
So,
tomorrow.
so it's taken what we've built internally over the 5-6 years, working with FIFA on this series, and all the confederations worked with them. And I think it's a great idea. And now building that out. So now you're playing against Asian countries, African countries, European countries, whatever that may be. And so, and that's just going to help the program, help the education of the federation from top to bottom. I mean, football is an education as well. I mean, it's been one of the greatest education tools for me in my life. The game. It's taught me many, 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 many things. And so we have to look at it that way. I know we all want to win. I know we all want the results, but when you take a step back, it's a great journey for a federation and everybody within it when you start experiencing these things within your confederation and now globally.
Well, back on our home front, we're a few years away from hosting the region hosting the FIFA World Cup, the 23rd edition of it. From your standpoint, it's got to be a proud thing for CONCACAF to be so involved in helping to make it happen. But what are you hoping the three countries, the three hosts, are able to accomplish in this, and showing that this region can handle the volume of which people will show up, and the magnitude of games.
So, like we always do, let's start with the football first. Okay. So we have an opportunity so we have 3 already qualified, which are the hosts. We have 3 more direct spots and 2 playoff spots, right? We have an opportunity to have 8 CONCACAF countries at the 26 World Cup. That's our first priority. Make sure we have 8. Okay. Then once you have 8 there, we need to have at least 6 of the 8 get out of the group stage. And then 3 of the 6, right, get into the quarterfinals. And then at least 1 get into the semifinals. I'm not going to say which ones. I won't say which ones, but to me, that is the standard and the goal that we have to set internally to push, and we have 2 years to prepare for that. And everybody needs to see themselves in that standard, whoever that may be. And so that's first. Now, from an operational standpoint, hosting, whatever, the great thing is that every one of the 3 countries that are hosting, right, including my native land of Canada, have a tremendous amount of experience in hosting previous World Cups, whether it be a Women's World Cup, the World Cup itself. Mexico has hosted it, U.S. has hosted it, youth tournaments, and so from a hospitality, event management, it's the infrastructure is baked in, right? The stadiums are all there. I think the first World Cup, maybe in history, I'd have to check my facts, that we don't have to build a stadium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I am also pretty sure about that. Every World Cup, we've had to build a stadium, at least one. And so this might be the first one we don't have to build it. I mean, there's some renos here and there, but no stadium itself. So that to me is, so that kind of speaks to everything's kind of turnkey. Now, having said that, there's operational issues, security, 3 levels of government, ensuring, people that come have obviously a seamless process, have a great time. The cities are doing what they need to do from a fan fest standpoint, all that. Those are all things that we got to sort of tick off here in the next 2 years. But I'm very confident that the FIFA team and the teams beneath the FIFA team at the cities and all that will do a tremendous job.
Sure.
We'll do a tremendous job.
Sure. Recently, obviously, we're going to talk a bit about the misbehavior or bad behavior of players. You serve as the chair for the FIFA Stakeholders Committee. You've called for the football family to support and respect referees. We've seen, of late, some of these things that are not really wanted in football. How do you feel that it's being addressed by, I guess I would say, by clubs, by organizations, by FIFA, just in general? How is it being handled?
Yeah, I mean, the reality of football, we're a mirror of society. It's the most popular game in the world, and not all parts of the world are the same, and how we see things. And we still, I think, listen, we're tackling. We have programs, whether they're anti-racism, or behaving well in the stadium, respecting your opponent, respecting your referee. I also sit on the IFAB board, which deals with a lot of the rules, and protection of referee is important, twofold. One, not just to protect the referee for obvious reasons, but also if you don't protect the referee, it's hard to have referees come in the game, because why would I want to become a referee if I'm getting abused verbally, or in some cases physically? It's very hard to attract young referees. So there's things, for instance, pilot projects with cameras on referees. There's a thing that we're starting, which is creating a zone where it's going to be tested this year, where a referee can only call the captain in. So the players, how they kind of all go at the referee. The referee is allowed to create kind of a, like they do for a free kick, where you got to go 10 yards. He can do that and say, okay, captain, you come, discuss this with the captain, whatever the issue may be, or the captains, and away you go. So, it's organic. We're always working on it. it'd be great to sit here and say we can eliminate all that.
Yes.
But it's not the reality of the world. You saw what just happened in Turkey last week, shocking, with a evasion of the pitch and going after players.
Yes.
Listen, football, as a famous Liverpool manager was said, football is football is life, or football is like death, but it's actually more important than life. With some quote like that,
Right.
which shows you how serious it is in probably every parts of the world, right? And in some places they take it, over the top, and it's incumbent on us as leaders of the game to ensure we protect the game, the integrity of the game, but it's organic. It's always, you're never going to sit there and go, okay, we've done it and it's accomplished. It's just a reality of our sport.
Right.
But if we can even make a 1% difference every day, that's a 365% improvement every year. So I think that's our goal.
Sure. The blue card issue brought a lot of debate around, especially around Bermuda.
Yeah.
Pilot program, it took off a little bit, but then it came out that nope, we're not going to do that. Was that? I know you said you sit on the committee that makes the rules. Just coming up with something to sort of address it. Was that the main reason for one of those suggestions?
Yeah. I'll use the words of President Infantino. He gave a red card to the blue card.
To the blue card.
So, and so, I think what happened there was, I think a little bit was a communications failure, a little bit, where I think it came out kind of the wrong way, in the sense of the tool that they were testing, mainly in the UK, was a bit of a sin bin, right? Almost like in hockey. Hockey, 2 minutes penalty. You can see there's my Canadian roots there, right?
Yeah.
And so the reality is that it was used at the grassroots as a tool to protect the referee when things go crazy on a pitch, especially at the amateur level. And so everybody, just a cool down period here, right? So, and then, some people were thinking internally, but perhaps we can test it at the next level, like a professional level. And, I feel it was never going to happen. I think it was just somebody probably just kind of thinking out loud. It got into the media, and as the president said, it's not happening. If you want to do it at the grassroots level, we understand, why you're testing at the grassroots level, to protect referees and educate players. But at the professional level, with all due respect, that's why you're a professional. You should already know how to behave. And by the way, if you're not behaving, that's why we have a yellow card, and that's why we have a red card. Get off the pitch. So, the standards should already be there. Introducing something gimmicky like that is not for the game of football at the professional level. Period.
So we've seen this new life of football. Increase of football being played in the region, without giving things that you've discussed inside the boardroom that you can't. What can we look forward to next out of this CONCACAF region?
Yeah. So actually, one of the things that we launched is, which I think will really help us to not only sustain, because the sustainability right now is a key, right? You grow, but then the next level is sustainability. So for us, sustainability is very important. And one of the things we're doing, we just announced in early December, we had a little sort of shovel ceremony in Cap Cana, Dominican Republic, where we're building a facility, a home of CONCACAF, actually called the home of one CONCACAF. Well, it will be 7 pitches, a little stadium, obviously dressing rooms, a VAR room, eventually a futsal, and a beach facility. And what we're going to do there, that will be the home of all 41 nations, where we come together for educational purposes, for competition purposes, for meetings. And what we'll do there is our youth tournaments will be played there, so everybody will know that that's where you're going for 15s, 17s, and 20s. Maybe the odd senior game as well. Depending. And that for me is a very important project. We're hoping to have at least some of the pitches done by August of 25, so we can start our U15 tournament there. That's the goal. And for me, that's a very important project that I think will really put CONCACAF in a great stead, because one of the issues we've always had is travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also visas. Visas has been a big issue in our region for Central American and Caribbean nations. They would have to travel to get a visa. Sometimes going into the U.S. is not the easiest thing. As a Canadian Bermudan, we usually don't have those issues, but a lot of our countries do. That's the reality of, I guess, geopolitics. But this will eliminate all that. Consistency of travel. That your U15s every year are going to go one place. You can negotiate a charter deal. It'll bring down the cost. So it will actually help the sustainability, not only for CONCACAF, but also our members in terms of how they run their programs. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, that's very, very important moving forward.
Sure. I saw that groundbreaking ceremony. It's a lot of space there. You picked a good site to do it.
Yeah.
Were there other places you were looking at to possibly do the same thing?
We ran an RFP, a proper RFP. We sent that out to all 41 countries, and we said, this is what the standards you have to meet, right? In terms of size of land, how we would negotiate that, how the government would have to sign off on visas and all this thing. You would have to have international airports. It have to be central and easy for all 41 to get to. And we had 7 or 8 of our members put their application forward, and it was a robust process. And after we did our due diligence, Dominican Republic was sort of the winner, and that's why we picked it. And it's a very central location and very easy for our members to get to. I think out of 41 member associations, I think 38 or 39 have a direct flight into Dominican Republic. So that makes it already easier. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I know you're a very busy man, and I know you need time to get ready for this evening, and you've probably got several other meetings. So I want to thank you very much for taking this time out to speak with me and the Bermuda public about, CONCACAF, one CONCACAF, because we are one. And as you said, the aim and the goal for 2026, 8 in.
There you go.
Six out of the group stage, at least.
I'm going to put you on the spot, or you want to make a prediction? Is Bermuda going to be one of those?
Bermuda will be one of those 8.
All right. I'll tell
Mark. And we're not going to take the playoff route.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because we're gonna shock Honduras here, and then go do the rest of the business. Now I'm putting my mouth on the Bermuda team, and I'm hoping that the rest of Bermuda support the same thing, and we make sure that the boys that go out to do the job understand that they have an entire nation behind them and get the job done.
That's awesome. Well, it was great seeing you again. Great having a chat about football, and I look forward to seeing you again at one point in person. So, all right. Thanks,
all right. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.